So Panchatattva Prabhu, if you kind enough to lead the kirtan today.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhu, go ahead with Prema Dhoni.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajagacharya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajagacharya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Panchatattva Prabhu, and welcome to everyone for Caitanya Caritamrta class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Tonight we're starting chapter 7 in the Adi Leela, and looking forward to hearing you reading and commenting as well. Maharaj is still resting his voice, so this is our MO for the foreseeable future. And thank you for being with us, Maharaj, and thank you everyone for being here. Hare Krishna.
So with Adi Leela chapter 7, we'll go with text 1. Agatya eka gatim natva Inarathadika sadhakam Shri Chaitanyam likhayate shya prema bhakti vadanyata. Translation. Let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one who bereft of all possessions in this material world, and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. Thus, let me write about his magnanimous contribution of devotional service in love of God. Purport. A person in conditional stage of material existence is in an atmosphere of helplessness. But the conditioned soul, under the illusion of Maya or the external energy, thinks that he is completely protected by his country, society, friendship, and love, not knowing that at the time of death, none of these can save him. The law of material nature are so strong that none of our material possessions can save us from the cruel hands of death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. One who is actually advancing must always consider the four principles of miserable life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. One cannot be saved from all these miseries unless he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore the only shelter for all conditioned souls. An intelligent person therefore does not put his faith in any material possessions, but completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a person is called akinchana, or one who does not possess anything in this material world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is also known as akinchana gochara, for he can be achieved by a person who does not put his faith in material possessions. Therefore, for the fully surrendered soul who has no material possession on which to depend, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only shelter. Everyone depends upon dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, and ultimately moksha, salvation. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, due to his magnanimous character, can give more than salvation. Therefore, in this verse, the words hina ratha dika sadakam indicates that although by material estimation, salvation is of a quality superior to the inferior interest of religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification, above salvation, there is the position of devotional service and transcendental love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the bestower of this great benediction. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prema Pumartho Mahan. Lord, love of Godhead is the ultimate benediction for all human beings. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrta, therefore, first offer his respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before describing his magnanimity in bestowing love of Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuramritamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishadam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sapadandikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Manchakalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhu Vayevacha Patutanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj, giving us a chance to glorify Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this verse, so many things are there. And Prabhupada just in the first verse in his purport pours out the whole thing. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Those are the four things that we have to go through. Nobody can escape from there. And we have to put our complete faith in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is the bestower of the devotional service. And the last thing he says, Prema Umartho Mahan. Love of Godhead is the ultimate benediction for all human beings. We have to remember that. And if we remember that, then we don't hesitate to share this knowledge to everyone. Prema Pumartho Mahan. And devotional service is about dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately salvation. But above all this, as I said, is devotional service to Krishna. Is above all. The word akinchana, very important. Yes. And Krishna is known as akinchana gochara. So Krishna can be achieved by a person who does not put his faith in material possessions. So we have to remember every minute, every second that the material, this material wealth is not going to help us at the time of death. Only the devotional service will come with us. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Thakur, he pays his humble obeisances to Mahaprabhu before he says anything else. Any comments? Okay. So Panchatattva Prabhu, maybe you can keep on eye on whoever says whatever, and you can just say out loud. But you are muted, so.
Looks like Maharaj has made the comment. This is the first chapter of Caitanya Caritamrta Srila Prabhupada produced in the West. He had already done the earlier chapters in India. He had us produce the chapter as a separate book. He said it should be distributed to all the Mayavadi sannyasis.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know that. This is the first chapter 7. He did it in America. Nice. Thank you, Maharaj.
The listings of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha made me think of that word, that term, Purushartha.
Purushartha, right.
A dear friend here in the Gainesville, Alachua area named Purushartha Das, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. In one place, Prabhupada describes Purushartha as Artha, Kama, Moksha, Dharma, and so forth. But in other places, it's Purushartha is given as the goal of life, which is pure devotional service or love of Godhead. So Purushartha. I just want to say it's an extraordinary philosophy, isn't it? Practically speaking, for the most part, what we take as religion is precisely the means by which we can get the other things. Artha, Kama, Moksha. Gets the ball rolling for us for all of our material desires. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, this is our formula. And right now, we see that most people have felt that they're able to dispense with dharma or religiosity because they've got their sense gratification, their artha, and they're busy with that. And the problem is that breaks everything. When you decide that your goal in life is sense gratification, then you get on a very perilous path because you're afflicted by all kinds of sinful reactions for the things that you are endeavoring for, both sinful and pious. So you get more and more entangled. And it's hard even then to realize anything about moksha, And so that's the position, artha, kama, and then what moksha? You get stuck. Or maybe out of frustration, you decide, okay, I'm done with this because I've been beaten too badly. Let me strive to become one with the Supreme, or let me try to understand that everything is me and I'm everything. And that's also the trap. So, Hare Krishna. We're very fortunate to have a purport like this, staring us in the face with the truth.
Yes. So there's some chats in the chat box. You can.
Yeah. Praveen asks, why the Mayavadi sannyasis? And Maharaj, so okay, let's start with that. Praveen says, why the Mayavadi sannyasis? Why did Srila Prabhupada want to distribute it to the Mayavadi sannyasis? I think the answer is somewhat obvious, because he wanted to establish that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is giving his message as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to defeat impersonalism and voidism, that the ultimate aspect of the Supreme is personal. So that's a rather simplistic answer, but along those lines.
Mine's even more simplistic. They needed to hear it.
Anyone else want to comment on that? Why the Mayavadi sannyasis? Why did Srila Prabhupada want this seventh chapter to be printed and distributed to the Mayavadi sannyasis.
But I can guess that since he produced this in America, there's so many other sannyasis were there in America who were also in that situation, Mayavadi situation.
Well,
So,
Mother, I'll jump forward.
Mhm.
Mother Shobhi Kunj makes a nice point. This is a chapter describing when Lord Chaitanya defeated Prakashananda Saraswati and the Mayavadi sannyasis.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else?
At least it's mentioned there.
Go on number 2. Let's see.
There's some more comments.
Okay, go ahead.
Maharaj responded to Mukesh, first, akinchana means one who has nothing, no possessions. Ekender Prabhu comments, interesting how Srila Prabhupada says, he can be achieved by a person who does not put his faith in material possessions. He can be achieved by a person who does not put his faith in material possessions, end quote. Rather than saying he can be achieved by a person who has no material possessions. A person doesn't think he possesses anything anyway, or a devotee doesn't think he possesses anything anyway.
Okay, now I will invite Tulsi Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna. You want me to read the next text?
Yeah, please.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm on a tablet, so I have to shift between windows. Okay, so text number 2.
Mhm.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Translation. All glories to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
In over here, maybe this is the old one. Text 2 is Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Tanaha Chandrashira, Say Bada Vanya. Let me offer glorification to the Supreme Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who has taken shelter of his lotus feet is the most glorified person. Do you have purport in there?
No, I don't. I have chapter 21, text 2, and it's just that verse, and that's it.
You have to go chapter 7 of Adi Lila.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I went to the wrong place.
That's okay.
I didn't realize I was in the wrong place. Can you get somebody else to read, and it'll take me a while.
Sure. I'll do that. Yeah, this is a very short purport. Okay, so purport is, okay, translation again. Let me offer glorification to the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who has taken shelter of his lotus feet is the most glorified person. Purport. Prabhu means master. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme master of all masters. Therefore, he is called Mahaprabhu. Any person who takes shelter of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most glorified, because by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is able to get promotion to the platform of loving service to the Lord, which is transcendental to salvation. So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Thakur is asking everybody to take shelter of the most magnanimous Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, Doug, can you do you have the book with you?
I can read the next one if you want.
Oh yeah, sure. Please go. Then I'll invite Doug and Sarah.
Hold on 1 second. Okay. So text 3. Purve Gurvadi Chayatatve. Purve Gurvadi Chayatatve Kaila Namaskara Guru Tattva Kahiyachi Yachi Ebe Panchara Vichara In the beginning, I have discussed the truth about the spiritual master. Now I shall try to explain the Panchatattva. Purport. In the first chapter of the Caitanya Caritamrta Adi Lila, the author, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, has described the initiator's spiritual master and the instructor's spiritual master in the verse beginning with the words, Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan Isham Ishvara Tarakan. In that verse, there are 6 transcendental subject matters, of which the truth regarding the spiritual master has already been described. Now the author will describe the other 5 tattvas, truth, namely Isha Tattva, the Supreme Lord, his expansion tattva, his incarnation tattva, his energy tattva, and his devotee tattva.
Please explain something.
Well, it's getting technical, and it seems to me that this explanation is, the purpose of it is that the Lord has an identity, and he's a person, and so for us to be able to approach him, we're getting to know him. And so we have to know the different features of his personality, which are described in 5 different ways here, in 5 tattvas. So it's not just, we tend to think of persons as very superficial. I wouldn't want to go too far and say that, people have different aspects of their personalities. The Lord has different aspects of his personalities. Every person has different aspects of their personalities. Prabhupada has brought that example up many times. Somebody may be a high court judge, but when he's with his little grandchild, he plays the fool and acts like a horsey or whatever, and the child has him under his control because that's another feature of his personality. So the difference is that the Lord's different aspects of his personalities are absolute and they're not contingent. But he does have these different aspects, and we're going to learn now, there's going to be more expansion on how those aspects manifest and what they are all about.
Okay, thank you. Panchatattva, there's some comments on there. You're muted again.
Sorry about that. Just that earlier, the truth regarding the spiritual master is described, and that these are 5 more tattvas. So we're talking about 6 tattvas. Isha tattva, and expansion, incarnation, energy, devotee tattva, and this spiritual master, which is interesting. 6 truths.
So Surbhi Kunja Devi Dasi is saying something. You want to elaborate that?
Let's see. The letter Maharaj referred to. Okay. Maybe we can. There's a few things here. I can't pull that up.
It says my Giriraj Das.
Here it is. It's a letter dated February 4th, 1975, from Srila Prabhupada to Giriraj. And at the end of the letter, Srila Prabhupada writes, 1 copy of our book, Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features, may be handed over to Swami Chinmayananda as our humble presentation. If somebody or yourself sees him personally, give him thanks for his letter recommending our admission in the temples and present this book to him. That will be nice. As far as possible, all big Mayavadi sannyasis should be presented with this book. And the book is called Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features, which I believe I have. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
And then, Maharaj said you can copy and paste it here. Okay, oh, there it is. And Mukesh says, when Lord comes, he appears with all his associates, paraphernalia, and devotees.
Hi, Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna. I just wanted to add something here. It just occurred to me that we're not just studying the Lord, although it's another feature of this is that we're studying what it means to be a personalist. If we're learning these 5 features of the Lord, these are 5 features of his personality. It's not just, they're not impersonal attributes, like, anything that's impersonal can have a multitude of attributes. But we're going to be learning about 5 specific attributes of his personality, what combines to create the whole personality of Godhead. And it seems like, I was just reading something by a Buddhist, I don't know if he's a psychotherapist, because I was hearing, people like to throw around the term spiritual bypassing, which means spiritual bypassing is when you sort of superficially relate to things in a spiritual way to avoid dealing with your personal issues, and it's sort of like fake spirituality. But the reason he came up with this expression is because he's a Buddhist and they don't have a personal conception. Because I was thinking, when we have personal problems in Krishna consciousness, and somebody says, oh, just remember you're not that body, somebody else might say, oh, that's spiritual bypassing. But the fact is, because we have such a personal conception, or we're trying to cultivate a personal conception, that by the process of Krishna consciousness, by dealing with the spiritual master, by dealing with other devotees, by dealing with the Lord in the deity form, we're developing, we're having to confront our anarthas in the process of all of this. So there's no question of spiritual bypassing just by applying the process of Krishna consciousness. We're dealing with our problems in the process of Krishna consciousness. There's no bypassing going on whatsoever. But if you're a Buddhist, you're lacking that personal conception. So it's easy to just say, oh, I'm going to just be renounced. I'm going to be detached. And you can neglect your personal issues because you're not a person. So anyways, that was my realization today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's go on now. Number 3, I would invite Doug Prabhu. Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. I actually had a quick question first.
Sure.
If that's okay. So in terms of presenting this to Mayavadi sannyasis, my first thought was that in whatever lineage, those would be sort of the most elevated and least likely to perhaps be persuaded. So I at first I was wondering why that would be the people you would present to first. On the other hand, if the arguments are so persuasive, then hopefully the trickle down effect would be that much greater. Is that how to think about it?
Let's see what Maharaj says.
Maharaj says, well, we don't really know. One thing, it seems to me, that Srila Prabhupada was a provocateur. As Mother Surabhi Kunj pointed out, though, there is a rather extensive account of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's encounter with Prakashananda Saraswati and the Mayavadi sannyasis. And Prakashananda Saraswati being rather emblematic of all Mayavadis and very learned, very advanced. I mean, these are not your garden variety Western Mayavadis. These are persons who were very practiced in their austerities and in their, studies and so forth. These were your top flight, top tier Mayavadis. And Mahaprabhu presents very persuasive arguments to counter, to clarify for Prakashananda Saraswati why he had taken up the chanting of the holy names and dancing in the streets and carrying on in a way that Mayavadi Prakashananda Saraswati thought was mere sentimentalism. So Mother Surabhi Kunj has it right. It was quite a it's a concise but effective presentation, because these are Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own words, and to the the top tier of the Mayavadis, if you will.
Tulsi Priya has a hands up. Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. I was just thinking too, kind of riffing off of what Maharaj said about being a provocateur. In another sense, you could say that Prabhupada might have been planting a seed, because it's something that appeals to them. The way they present their notions are being presented in that and being countered by Mahaprabhu. But basically, everyone is a servant of Krishna. And so if you have a way to reach somebody, through something that they can relate to, and then you plant that little seed, maybe they don't accept it in this life, but it's been planted. It's been planted, and at some point in the future, since they're not going back to Godhead and they're not going to stay in the Brahma Jyoti if they do go, it's there. It's been planted in them, and so, things like that have a way of coming back to you when you need them. It's like, you put an idea in somebody's head and they're like, nonsense. But then at a certain point, they go, wait a minute, what about, and something comes to them and I'm just saying it can happen that way.
Yes, just like Maharaj says, they get the chance.
You get the chance.
Yeah, I just saw what he said now.
And of course, look what happens to Prakashananda Saraswati and his followers. They're all gifted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Krishna Prema, and they all become Vaishnavas. So,
which is very, very hard to do. Mahaprabhu just did it.
That book, Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features, is a blessing of Srila Prabhupada and ultimately of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu upon all the Mayavadis.
Yes. All right, let's go to the next one, number 3.
3 or 4? 4, right?
Yeah, 4, sorry. Yeah.
4. Panchatattva avitirna chaitanyera sange panchatattva lana karina sankirtana range. Translation: these 5 tattvas incarnate with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and thus the Lord executes his Sankirtan movement with great pleasure. Okay, the purport is a little bit long, so I'll start reading some of it and pause and see if we have any comments. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, there's the following statement regarding Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Vishakaršnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtan Prayer Yajantihi Su Medasaha. Hope I got that right. In the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates, by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by his plenary expansion, Sri Nityananda Prabhu. His incarnation, Sri Advaita Prabhu, his internal potency, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, and his marginal potency, Srivas Prabhu. He is in the midst of them as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by these other tattvas. Anything to add yet? Nothing in the chat? No. Therefore, our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are complete when we say Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. As preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, we first offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting this Panchatattva mantra. Then we say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There are 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, but these are not considered in the chanting of the Panchatattva mantra, namely, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Mahavadanyatvatar, the most magnanimous incarnation, for he does not consider the offenses of the fallen souls. Should I pause for a second? Keep going?
Now let's go, keep going, yeah.
Okay. Thus, to derive the full benefit of the chanting of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we must first take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, learn the Panchatattva Maha Mantra, and then chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That will be very effective. Last paragraph.
Yes.
Taking advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many unscrupulous devotees manufacture a Maha Mantra of their own. Sometimes they sing Bhajanitya Gaurade, Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram, or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Sri Radhe Govinda. Actually, however, one should chant the names of the full Panchatattva, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And then the 16 words, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But these unscrupulous, less intelligent men confuse the entire process. Of course, since they are also devotees, they can express their feelings in that way. But the method prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pure devotees is to first chant the full Panchatattva mantra and then chant the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prabhu. Maybe you can explain a little bit?
I guess I don't know if I'm the right person to be explaining this, but I'd like to just open it up to talk a little bit about the 10 offenses, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Well, I don't have much to add other than it's something I know Shar and I work on a lot because it's challenging to not commit one, if not all. But I don't know. I'll just open it up if anyone else has to comment. Thanks.
That's great. No, that's true. The thing you said, we just have to watch out for those offenses, very important. And like you said, you always be careful about that. That's nice. And also this mantra from Bhagavatam, Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sango Prangastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Si Subhedasha. This is a very well-known verse in Bhagavatam. In the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associate by performance of Sankirtan Yagna. So you can realize that how important the Sankirtan movement is. Because in this age of Kali, we are very unfortunate, slow, unintelligent, always in trouble, and most of all, lazy. But just by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can attain whatever is obtainable in Satya Yuga by meditation, in Treta Yuga by performance of yagna, and then in Dwapar Yuga by doing the Archana Siddhi in the temple. All this can be obtained just in one shot in Kali Yuga, because we are so unfortunate. Mahaprabhu made it so easy. Just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So let's take advantage of this age, even though it's very bad. Will be very beneficial for us. Okay, so Tulsi Priya, your hands up.
Hi, Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, based on what Doug was saying, Doug Prabhu, I should say, is there are two things that, well, one thing that struck me, particularly Prabhupada was talking about unscrupulous, less intelligent men who are making up their own mantras. And this occurs when people just don't follow the order of the spiritual master. So that's the main thing there. You follow the order of the spiritual master who's coming in the line of the previous acharyas, and they have set things up for us. And secondly, if you're following that process, this is the whole idea. It's a process, we want to be perfect. We all want to be perfect from the get-go, but that's not how it works. And Krishna does not expect it of us. We're in the material world. We're naturally imperfect. But if we're trying, that's the real thing, that we're trying. So even if you're chanting with offenses, if you're trying to not make offenses, that in itself is going to be is going to purify you, because what we're offering to Krishna is the effort and submitting to the process. If you were just perfect instantly, it first of all, it's not going to happen in the material world, and second of all, it's like if there's no effort, what's the fun of that? What's the beauty of that? But it's when you make the effort that Krishna appreciates. So you could give Krishna millions of dollars, but if it's nothing to you, it's just you haven't sacrificed anything. Whereas if you have only $10 and you give it all to Krishna, that's a bigger sacrifice. So I think when we talk about the offenses, the idea is to make the effort. And yes, we want to become perfect, but that, again, following a process, and that process is to follow the order of the spiritual master. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. Panchatattva, there's some chat about something in the box.
Yes. Praveen has provided a link regarding the Panchatattva.
Before Maharaj said in my Kirtan standard book.
Yeah. And well, before that, then after Maharaj says, in my Kirtan standards book, I bring up a couple of points relevant to this purport.
It's just coming out, right, Maharaj? Or you have that book?
Look at this link from Mean. And the link, Jaya Panchatattva. See if it's at length. I don't know. Should I read this or? It's in regard to concocted mantras. And in this case, Jaya Panchatattva. This is not something the acharyas have given. It doesn't include any of the 5 names of the Panchatattva. It was not chanted by Srila Prabhupada, and we don't hear it even in the Gaudiya Math, our own made-up mantra. So it would seem better to stick to what's authorized. And there follows an exchange between Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj says, we have been told to chant the names of Krishna as the spiritual master or the acharyas have chanted them, but sometimes I'll hear that our devotees will be chanting Krishna's name in different ways that I haven't heard in Kirtan. Srila Prabhupada says, I do not follow what you say. Maharaj replies, just like sometimes we'll hear our men, they'll be chanting. Like yesterday, I heard that someone was chanting, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Nitai Gaur. Like that, I'll hear different mantras. Someone is chanting Radhe, 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 like that at Kirtan. Prabhupada replies, aha, well, that is not done by the acharyas, but there's no harm chanting Radhe. But sometimes it is degraded to make something new, invention. Therefore, better to stick to Hare Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Otherwise, just like the Sahajas they've invented, Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. These things will come gradually, but they are not approved. They are called Trada Kirtan or concocted Kirtan. But there's no harm chanting Radhe, Nitai Gaur, but better stick to this Panchatattva and Mahamantra. Just like Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, there is Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam, but it is not approved. Mahajano Yena Gata Sapantha. We have to follow the Mahajan. In Caitanya Caritamrta, you'll find Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Never Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam. So why should we do that? And then there's a brief note. In short, on this occasion, Srila Prabhupada said, there's no harm in chanting Nitai Gaur or Radhe, but better to stick to the Panchatattva mantra and the Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu.
Sure.
Okay.
And in regard to Doug's question, what little progress I've made in chanting, I can say is due to association of devotees, trying to avoid the offenses against the holy name. One helpful thing is to memorize those offenses and to make it a part of your morning sadhana to recite them as a reminder. Even remembering them throughout the day can be very helpful because it can stimulate you to recognize them when they crop up, right? As because of our conditioning, we tend to kind of slide into going through life, doing things half-consciously, semi-consciously. But with devotional service, we're asked to come to another level where everything is done with very great care and attention. The benefit from doing that is tremendous. And there's benefit also from doing it just with partial attention, but it's nowhere near as potent as if we give our full attention and our full strength and endeavor to chanting very carefully. So that's what I would recommend. Take these 10 offenses and become very aware of them. It can be part of your sadhana. And also another thing which personally I would recommend is memorizing the Shikshastakam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and chanting that and meditating on that, because that's a very beautiful string of prayers that essentially covers the whole gambit of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and proceeding on the path of devotional service.
That's right. Those are the 8 verses Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote, and that's the only writing he did. And also, just to add, in all our temple, we recite those 10 offenses early in the morning, just to remind us. Yes, I would also like to call for Surbhi Kunj Mataji. Are you available for next text number 5?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Panchatattva eka vastu nahi kichu beda, rasa asvadite tabu vivida viveda. Spiritually, there are no differences between these 5 tattvas, for on the transcendental platform, everything is absolute. Yet there are also varieties in the spiritual world, and in order to taste these spiritual varieties, one should distinguish between them. Purport. In his Anubhasya commentary, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes the Panchatattva as follows. The supreme energetic, the personality of Godhead, manifesting in order to enjoy 5 kinds of pastimes, appears as the members of the Panchatattva. Actually, there is no difference between them because they are situated on the absolute platform, but they manifest different spiritual varieties as a challenge to the impersonalists to taste different kinds of spiritual humors, rasas. In the Vedas, it is said, Parasya Saktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. The varieties of energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are differently known. From the statement of the Vedas, one can understand that there are eternal varieties of humors or tastes in the spiritual world. Sri Gauranga, Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhar, and Srivas Thakur are all on the same platform. But in spiritually distinguishing between them, one should understand that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the form of a devotee. Nityananda Prabhu appears in the form of a devotee's spiritual master. Advaita Prabhu is the form of a bhakta, devotee incarnation. Gadadhar Prabhu is the energy of a bhakta. And Srivas Thakur is a pure devotee. Thus, there are spiritual distinctions between them. The Bhakta Rupa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhakta Swarupa, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and the Bhakta Avatar, Sri Advaita Prabhu, are described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, His immediate manifestation, and His plenary expansion, and they all belong to the Vishnu category. Although the spiritual and marginal energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, they are predominated subjects, whereas Lord Vishnu is the predominator. As such, although they are on the same platform, they have appeared differently in order to facilitate tasting of transcendental mellows. Actually, however, there is no possibility of one being different from the other, for the worshipper and the worshipable cannot be separated at any stage. On the absolute platform, one cannot be understood without the other.
Thank you very much. So maybe you can say something, whatever you grasp.
The only thing I can think of right now is that Srivas Thakur is on the Jiva platform, but he's there with the rest of the Panchatattva being worshipped. And I remember Indradyumna Maharaj gave a class a few years ago, and he was saying how he's right there experiencing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and he was explaining that in this age, we're not just watching the worship of Krishna go on, we are actively involved in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in the form of the Sankirtan movement.
That is absolutely right. Yes, we are not just watching, we have to take part in there. Yes, thank you. And these, out of 5 Panchatattva, 4 those are called Vishnu Tattvas, and 1 is Bhakta, Rupa. I mean, Bhakta, devotee incarnation, the Srivas. Even though they are 5 they are Vishnu Tattva, Lord Nityananda and Srivas, Advaita Acharya, they all think themselves as a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Even though they are all on the same category, but they consider themselves and they serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu serves him in different capacities, and also Advaita Acharya also serves him in his way. Okay, Panchatattva, anything in the box?
Okay. Maharaj mentions that 3 are Vishnu Tattva.
Or 3 of
Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Advaita Acharya. Srivas and Gadadhar, Maharaj says, are Shakti Tattva. In an earlier verse, I was reflecting on that famous verse by Rupa Goswami. And it's also a verse that's nice for remembering when chanting Hare Krishna, since we're supposed to remember the Panchatattva first and take shelter of them. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Trishe Namaha. That Rupa Goswami is offering us obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya, who's the most munificent of all avatars, even Krishna himself, because he's freely giving what no one has ever given before, love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. So when we chant the 10 offenses, we typically conclude with every Vaishnava. Of course, some would say everyone who claims to be a Vaishnava, but every Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Krishna
Prema.
Such a nice meditation.
Yes.
And who's really enabling us to do that? It's Krishna, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's Krishna in the form of the spiritual master, who's giving very personal guidance and so forth, so that we can chant very nicely. Actually, we obtain the Hare Krishna mantra in that way through the spiritual master, and so forth. So it's a nice meditation.
Yes. Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. We are getting at the end, and I would like Mukesh Rajput Prabhu to lead the kirtan.
Hare Krishna. Actually, I'm traveling in the train.
Oh, okay.
And there might be issue.
All right. So anybody else? Let's see who else we have. Now, all I can think of is Krishna Kaunteya Prabhu. Yes, we got it.
You have to turn up your volume, Krishna Kaunteya Prabhu. Yeah, I got it.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Astotarasya Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Astotarasya Srimati Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavin ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर नदी धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी की जय, गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Maharaj.
Krishna Kande Prabhu, for leading. Nice kirtan.
Thanks to Bhakta Doug Prabhu, who made a very
Oh.
nice reading. Hare Krishna. Nice questions.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
All right. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.